morning. Good morning.
Are we live? Well, I know we're live there.
Yeah, we're live everywhere. I think this is episode 59?
Yeah, and it's, I was actually looking back at we have a specific, playlist on our YouTube channel of all the live streams, and I think we're 24 episodes in since, my return.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty darn solid.
It's almost half a year.
Yeah, so since then, there's only 1 week we were off, and that was simply because I couldn't get the bandwidth in the mountains to record.
Yeah.
I was determined to do it. We were ready. We just couldn't get the internet connection.
We'll have to either do a double feature episode where we just go for 3 hours.
Or we could do 2 in 1 week.
Or we could do 2 in 1 week.
Yeah. Maybe that could be the New Year's special. So this is the last episode of 2020.
Yeah.
The last episode of the decade. Is that right? Or are we starting a new decade?
We talked about this a couple weeks ago.
So this is the last episode of the first year of the new decade.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some interesting observations. Number 1, I don't know if people can tell, but I don't have my computer today.
No.
And I know you can't see it, and I wish that you could take a photo and share it with people. But normally the camera is up on this really nice tripod.
Yeah.
And
what I'll do is I'll take a picture, put it in the comments on the live feed.
Yeah. And then what I'll do while you're doing that, I'll describe it for all the people that don't actually watch this.
Okay.
So normally we have it in the corner on a tripod and it's all secured and set up. Now, I did bring my computer. I forgot the tripod. I'm just all sorts of off kilter a little bit today. So we have it attached to a clipboard by the little springy thing. So it's just floating in the air. Although I did remember airplane mode and it's on a charger.
Nice.
So we got that going for us.
Yeah.
So the only stipulation is, actually, I think we only have just under an hour of time left that we can use on Buzzsprout.
Let me check, because I thought it renewed after 3 or 4 days from last week. We got 6 hours.
Oh. So I have to leave at 11:45. So.
Whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Alright.
So we've got it rigged up over here. It's fine. It's no big deal.
So I'll show them because I couldn't post it. Okay, you know what I'll do is
What will you do? You couldn't share it with them?
No, I couldn't on a live feed. I couldn't post a photo as a comment.
Oh, okay. So now they could see that. Okay.
So imagine, and if you guys are listening, you'll just have to do imagine what based off how Josh described it. But for you guys watching, imagine this pair of scissors.
This is the camera.
And this folder. That doesn't sound good. It's gonna shoot right at me. Is the phone. So it's held up, the back end of the phone, and then the camera is this part.
Marc.
But it doesn't look bad.
No, and it works. And if we hadn't said anything, people would have just probably said, "Oh, the camera's a little off kilter today." But,
so don't go buy a tripod from Amazon Basics because Jeff Bezos has enough money.
Yeah, don't spend the $4 that it costs for a darn tripod. No, it's not that I don't have one. I just forgot it. Anyways, so that means I got no notes. I can't see the comments. So you're really gonna have to manage this whole thing. I'm just here for the rants.
I don't even have my notes
to go on to the rant.
The rants. Are we ranting today?
I don't know. While you're searching for that, or maybe pulling up the podcast outline, what I'll do is, I do know current events. So we just had a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
So Merry Christmas. I hope it was good for everybody. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, Merry whatever you do celebrate.
Yeah.
If you don't celebrate anything, then I still hope that you had a joyous and wonderful past week with family and loved ones.
Emily went to Mass on Christmas Eve, and she said that the priest told everybody that the reason they say Happy Christmas in Ireland is because Merry means drunk. And so they don't want to encourage Merry Christmas, drunk Christmas.
Did she share that in the members page?
I think she shared it on Instagram.
Okay. Maybe, because I feel like I saw it somewhere, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say, as soon as you started telling that story, I was like, I feel like I just heard this from someone.
Yeah. So I thought that was really funny.
Well, I'm still gonna say Merry Christmas, Mark.
Well, she told me that when I had a glass of wine in my hand, and I'm like, I'm saying Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Right now, it's get merry.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had that. Now we are coming to the end of the year. So today, Wednesday, the 30th, according to my watch. Which quick shout out to my sponsor, Casio G-Shock watches. Yeah. So today's the 30th. This is the last couple of classes at gym for this year because we are closed Thursday and Friday.
Yep.
We will be back open for the first workout of the new year on Saturday, which I think, are you coaching?
Emily is
coaching.
Yeah.
All right, so Emily is coaching. And then we've got, for all of you pregnant or postpartum moms, Diapers and Dumbbells with Coach Steph kicks off on the 5th of January. I know she's got a handful of spots left. So if you are pregnant, were recently, gave birth to a baby, know somebody, anything like that, please pass it along. It's been a wildly incredible program to watch her kind of create from the ground up, and the feedback from the moms that we've had come through it has just been amazing, and we've actually had quite a few repeats.
Yes.
So that's actually like a good sign that it was very well done.
Yeah, and since the last time Steph's done it, we've had people reach out with interest and that have had a baby since. And so whether they were pregnant before and took the class, or they had a baby and they're like, okay, that's something I'm interested in. And so that's really cool to see too.
It's pretty neat. All the little babies are in here, just chilling, just hanging out.
Eva, Bartley, gonna have new babies, and when the multiple moms taking this class, a lot of babies.
Yep. So after that, a couple of weeks go by, and then the consistency challenge kicks off on the 25th.
25th.
Excuse me. After that, we have kind of a community outing. It's going to be outdoors. It's a 5K trail run, January 31st. That is a Sunday. It's in the morning. Actually, I just got, I don't know if you did, the email from Alafaya 5K Trail Runs for registration is open now. So I'll have to share that. I think we've already been sharing the link to register, but I've been talking to a lot of people, one-on-one when we're in class, and it seems like we're going to have an even bigger group going out there this year. So trust me, as somebody who does not like running at all, it was just the coolest thing that we did in all of 2020. I mean, not that the bar was set particularly high with this given year, but even still, it was the coolest thing that I participated in as an event. So, I would love to see a ton of people get out there. It's such a good time. It makes you forget that you are running and that you are running in Florida.
Yes. On the hills, in the sand, most likely in the cold.
Yeah. So it was a good time. Make plans, make it out there. I mean, from the time that we got there till the time that we left, it was only a couple of hours. It's right around the corner. People come from all over the country to run in these beautiful trails we have. So, it'd be cool to see everybody.
I remember last year, because, you're going for an outing, so you expect to be gone for a couple hours, and you are, but the race is at like 8 o'clock. And I mean, you run a 5K, and it's in the trails, so maybe it takes you 30 or 40 minutes. And then you hang out for a little bit, and then I remember being home by like 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it was like 9:30. I was like, all right, I got the rest of the day ahead of me.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. Yeah, so that's really what we have coming up.
Yeah, I think you covered it pretty well.
Yeah.
Aside from all that stuff on the board.
Yeah, but that's not for the people to know yet.
No.
That is actually programming for, I think it's the second week of the new year. So we've got the first 2 weeks of the new year all written out for everybody. We've got some really cool things going on with that. Maybe we can dive into that a little bit more. I don't know, maybe this episode if we've got time, or we can dedicate some good time to it next week.
Yeah, I plan on making some sort of post or some sort of video for the members, just so they have an idea of like what we're doing. But it's going to be brief. It's not going to detail everything because we like keeping secrets.
Yeah. Well, let's just say this. We can Cliff's note it this way. It is intelligent, thoughtful design with the individual in mind. Ooh, that rhymed.
Ooh, nice.
I didn't even plan that.
I couldn't have said it any better. So if you guys are listening and you can make it in here, if you can listen to this and make it in here by the time we erase it, you can see an entire week of programming weeks ahead of time.
And if you can decipher what we've written up there, then that's really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
So last week we talked about, we had some questions surrounding New Year's resolutions. What, if any, that we remember that we personally had, how those were going, what resolutions we might have coming up for the new year. And I kind of shared what my process is like. Did you have anything left over to talk about with you? Have you given any thought? Like, do you take time to sit down and set some goals? I mean, I know, like, from a personal career standpoint, we've talked about it, we've met about it, we've created a plan for it, but anything else?
No, I mean, like you said, you and I have sat down and talked, and we talked months ago, and whenever we have discussions like that, it's always so productive and it's good. But I'd say since the last episode, I haven't really thought about it too much. I'm still just like, I was, aside from, I think I mentioned one of my resolutions was I wanted to read 10 books in a year, and that was my resolution. And so, not that that's, I would say that's not even like a resolution, that's more of like a goal. Like, I feel like resolution carries this heavy weight of, okay, change something about yourself. Yeah, drastic, or try to achieve something great, but even still then it's a goal. So since last week I haven't put too much thought into it. I mean, aside from the conversations you and I have had, of course, you always want to get better. There are things I'm thinking about, like we just mentioned with the stuff on the board, that's always going through my head about how could I perform my role better? Right. So things like that, that's always going through my head, but nothing crazy profound, I would say.
So it's interesting, my mom came over to the house for just a few minutes before she came to work out last night, the 6 o'clock group, and me, her, and Mandy were sitting out on the front porch while the kids were playing out in the front yard, just talking, and I had said something about, if as a side note, if you guys haven't read the blog post that we just sent to everybody about almost all the books that I read in 2020, that's where this conversation stemmed from. But I asked her if she read it, and she had, and she was asking, like, so how many total books did you read? And then Mandy said something, and I completely forgot. Mandy said, didn't you have a goal to read like 40 books, or something in 2020? And it's funny because I think that was actually my goal for 2019, which I came really close to. I think I read like, I don't know, just say 32, 36 books or something like that. So it was really close. But what I do remember about going into 2020 is I didn't actually want to read more, which is a common thing, among goal setting. It's like, oh, I did this, I want to do more. I did this, I want to do more. And the way that I kind of spun it was I didn't want to read more. I just wanted to read a little bit deeper. I wanted to take time to, just give everything some thought. Maybe reread some things that I've got an annual list of a few books that I always reread just because they're really impactful. So that was just an interesting piece about the goals that I have. So going in, where I'm taking this is like going into 2021, I'll probably do much the same as I did this year, is just be very kind of selective on, what books that I am going to read.
Right.
And probably read about the same amount. I think all said and done, like the list that I released yesterday was like 20 or 21 books. And then the follow-up post is going to be the top 3 books that I read in 2020. Which is as a teaser or as kind of a, what is it called? A spoiler. As a spoiler, if you guys have listened to the podcast, you can probably guess the number 1 because I gifted it to you. We've talked about it numerous times. It's Love Your Enemies from Albert Brooks. Number 2 is Excellence Wins from, and I know I'm spoiling the whole thing, but you're going to read about it tomorrow, but Horst Schultz's book, Excellence Wins. He was the co-founder of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Group. And then number 3 was Atomic Habits by James Clear. So, and what I did in the post, so the first one that I released yesterday was like here's all these books that I read, here's quick little snippets and why they were valuable to me. And then I linked to Amazon to make it super easy for people to buy them.
Nice.
No, we don't get any kind of compensation from that at all. There's no affiliate links or anything. It's just, I want to make it easy for people to buy. And then for the follow-up posts, I tried to go a little bit deeper in terms of why they were, they resonated so well with me. So I would love to hear from others. Like, I know we talk about books all the time. I talk to Godin about them. Anything that people are reading that they find of value to them, I always add it to my Amazon list. And then when I'm going through figuring out like what I want to read this month or what's coming up, in life and in business, and what can I read to kind of get me into the right headspace to make those decisions. So,
backtracking quite a bit to what you were saying about, hey, didn't you have a goal of wanting to read 40 books in the new year? And I'm like, wow, that's like a crazy lofty goal to me, but you already realized, and you were still accomplishing 32, 36 books a year, which is just incredible. When we did, I was kind of in the same boat, but my goal was, okay, I want to read 10 books in 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay, so by 2021, I want to have read 10 books in 2020. And actually, during Coach Stephanie's New Year, New You presentation that we talked about, she asked me, asked the group, what were some goals you had for 2020? And I mentioned what mine was. And she said, okay, so this is such a simple question, right? But I never asked myself. She's like, how many did you read in 2019?
Yeah.
And I went, I think I read maybe one book in 2019. She's like, okay, so you want to go from maybe one
to 10.
So we'll just say maybe one. We'll make that maybe counted as 0. So you want to go from 0 books
Right.
to 10
Yeah.
in 1 year. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, so what if we tried 3 or 5?
Right.
Luckily, between November and now, or really like end of October and now, I read 4. So that's
pretty solid.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And so, but it just makes me
That's really on pace to do 24 in a year if you think about it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so I'm like, wow, so 10 a year, now it looks possible. So now, okay, let's start with 5. Let's try to keep this habit up for, the next 4 months, right? Because it would have been held in habit for about 6 months. See where I'm at, on that same pace. That's 8 books. Okay, then we'll just shoot for 10.
Yeah.
So it's almost like I'm auto-regulating my goal.
I think maybe the lesson here is it's one thing to have the goal. It's another thing to actually break down what that means. Like, what is it actually going to take to accomplish it? So let's just say that the average book is 250 pages. Okay, so if you want to read 2 per month, you really need to be reading 500 pages a month. Okay, so how many is that per day? Whatever 500 divided by 30 is, so 15 pages a day. Okay, so that's actually not too terribly crazy.
Right.
To read 15 pages a day. Let's just say that, that it takes you 2 minutes to get through a page. Okay, so now you're talking 30 minutes per day of reading. Where can you fit 30, and this is the important part, uninterrupted minutes to read and so that you can accomplish that goal? Right? Because what a lot of times that people do is they have the goal of, I want to read 10 books, I want to lose 50 pounds, I want to run a marathon. It's like, okay, that's all well and good, and I think it's super important to have goals, but really what you need to figure out is what is the process that actually, needs to go into you accomplishing that.
So for myself, it's the same way. So a lot of people think, oh, I don't have time in the morning, I don't have time at night to read. And I'm kind of the same way. I could probably structure my evenings a little bit better to allow for 30 minutes at night to read. But the reality is like, if I'm getting up to Coach 5:30, right, I want to be in bed by 10:45, right? I want at least 6, right? Because 6, okay, I know if I can get 6, I'm going to feel a lot better than 5.5 or 5 hours of sleep. But, if I'm cleaning up and finishing up my nightly routine and it's, 10:30, I don't have 30 minutes to read. What I do have is maybe 5 to 12 minutes. And so I'll knock out, that 18 to 25 minutes somewhere else in the day. I think I even said it on the show last week, and we've talked about where I kind of do that. I won't mention it again, but I do find times throughout the day where it's like, okay, instead of going on my phone, maybe this is where I knock out something simple like 3 or 4 pages.
Right.
Absorb that, let myself think on that, so then when I return, I can knock out another 3 or 4 pages, and then maybe clean it up at the end of the night with another 3 or 4 pages, and then boom, like you've got at most 12 pages done. It's okay, you're well on your goal to those 300 pages a month, as long as you can probably make up time on the weekend or something. But
yeah,
we were just talking to Charity, and one, I don't think she listens. 2, I don't think she would mind if she heard this, but she said something similar. She was like, okay, I have a goal of reading 24 books this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what she said, 20 or two books a month, I think she said. And so I was doing the math in my head. I'm like, okay, well, that's 1 book every 2 weeks, you know, and so that's 24 books a year. Like, when you say it that way, how does it think? So maybe I should coach her and grill her on that one. Be like, hey, what do you think of it this way?
That, it's funny, as you started to talk about that, I had this idea in my head, and I'm actually, putting it out there so we can maybe get some feedback on it, but, do you listeners, members at the gym, think that it would be helpful, would you find it valuable for me to put on, like a, a 1-hour seminar on goal setting? Like, okay, I've got this goal, and we could come in here and do it on the weekend. Maybe we could do it at 8 a.m. on a Saturday or something like that. But just come in and I could just take you through a quick crash course on you've got this goal, and then how do you actually work backwards from it, so that when you wake up tomorrow, or when you wake up on the first of the year, whenever it is, let's just say we do it 2-3 weeks from now, when you wake up, you know what you actually got to do. So it's like you set the beacon, but at the end of the day, that's, let's just say, 12 months away. When you want to hit that thing, you still have to wake up and do something, and not put it off.
Right.
You just have to take one step forward. Well, most of the time, people get lost in the in-between of the goal and today, what do I need to do? So I'm just curious if people would find that helpful. I feel like you would.
Yeah, I would definitely find it. I mean, something is, we tuned into that New Year, New You talk I mentioned a couple minutes ago, and it was something as simple as Stephanie asking, how many did you read in 2019?
Yeah.
And it's like, even as the head coach here, and I've been coaching, and I coach people so much, like even that question for me, that I might already ask people in general, I didn't ask it to myself, and so I'm still learning to do that to myself, even though, like, if you come in here and you want to say, I want to snatch 200 pounds, I'm going to say, well, have you snatched 295?
Yeah, right.
Even though I don't think to ask it to myself. So, yes, I think I would find that pretty beneficial. So, I made a chapter marker note it says a question for our listeners, so a little clickbait title.
Yes.
So, yeah, we'll see if people.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I'm trying to remember, because I don't have my notes in front of me, but I do know that I was editing it a little bit yesterday. So yeah, what I ended up reflecting on for 2020 is, we already talked about this, I read a lot of books. There were a lot of actually good things that happened throughout the year. So us transitioning our kids out of traditional public school into true homeschool was just an amazingly transformative, positive experience for our family. So that is really cool. It fits really well with the values that we have, the time that we want to make sure that we dedicate to each other, things like that. So that was a big positive. There's just so many things. And then opportunity, I like to use that term deliberately instead of like obstacle or problem or challenge or struggle or anything like that. So the opportunity to really showcase that we are a business that offers coaching, fitness coaching, and not just access to a physical facility or equipment or anything like that. So I thought that opportunity to really reach people in a much different way, I thought was really, really cool. I know that it was scary for everybody, staff and members included, but for me, those are the things that really excite me to just show people that, fitness is not just something that you do at a place. It is really like a medium for you to live a better, more impactful life or more fulfilling life. And that also means that you don't have to come in here in order to do that. So for, a couple of months we provided coaching so that people could get their, fitness fulfillment at home. And I thought that was just a really unique opportunity. And then all the stuff on the back end that has happened since then. I mean, the opportunity to shore up some operations, to clean things up, to make sure that we are continually upgrading the value that we provide to people. All of those things to me are, I just see them as opportunities. So, and then, yeah, that was kind of like, we talked last time about what I do in terms of reflection. So that's kind of the way that I look back on it. And then the other piece is, for me, is looking at what my values are and the actions that I took this year. Were they in support of or not in support of, those? So for me, it's faith, family, fitness, and freedom. And so, all the things I try to evaluate, like, did I make strides in my faith positively, investing into my family, into my fitness, and then into, the freedom that we want for the life that we want to live. So that's also the way that I set goals for myself going into the new year. Yeah, you can take that back. That's also the way that I set goals for myself going into the new year is, okay, now, based upon what happened in each of those, let's just call it buckets for 2020, what are the goalposts, so to speak, for 2021?
So, I'm just thinking back and writing some stuff down. I like the way you phrased opportunity in regards to, and I'm not even going to say closing our doors, like closing our physical location. It's pretty much what we said, because we never closed, we never shut down, we still operated. And it's just funny that you mention it now, because you being able to reflect and then say it out loud helps me reflect and realize that, like, as a staff, I can't remember any of us acting like, when we had to close our physical location, it was something that was happening to us. Like, oh man, can you believe this is happening to us?
Right.
It was like, okay, this is what's happening now.
Yeah.
And you have to adapt.
Yeah.
One, if you still want to provide the value and the service and this experience to our members.
Right.
Two, I mean, in a more like black and white view, if you want a job, like,
yeah.
It's like,
if you want business to stay operational.
And I know you work with so many different gyms, and I can't imagine what you're seeing. I imagine that the gyms you're working with are in pretty good hands, but you probably hear stories of other gyms that are just like, hey, what do I do? And they really have no clue, and so they throw the towel in, and you hate to see that.
Yeah.
But it's sink or swim in a situation like that. And we're lucky enough that, one, we have the leadership from you to help with a situation like that, but two, that we have kind of the environment and the attitude fostered again from the top down that, okay, this isn't something happening to us. This is just the way we're doing things for, it felt like a lifetime, but it was
it felt like eternity. Yeah.
It was like 8 weeks.
It was interesting because I think it gave me, from the leadership perspective, a really good reinforcement in our identity as coaches. First, period.
Yes.
More than anything, that is who we are, what we are, and why we are the business that we are. It's not, a templated this. It's not come in and, you just are granted access. It's so much more than that. And going through everything that we did in the summertime, and even to some extent today, it was just a really great reinforcement that this is who we are. And it's also made me reflect back on how we can clarify our message, and I'm still working through this, but how we can clarify our message on, how what we do is different than, maybe what somebody down the street or across the country does.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was kind of your 2020 reflection, and then you wrote your Josh's 2021. You mentioned your buckets, so faith, family, fitness, freedom, and kind of just the actions you'll take. Did you take the actions in 2020 that helped fill those buckets? Any plans for 2021 for yourself? I mean, you asked me, but for yourself to help fill those buckets more. Anything you want to do more or less of?
I haven't come to any concrete conclusions in terms of what exactly like the vision is for those goals. So it's like I know that I want to be more impactful in each of those areas, but that's such like a ephemeral goal to have, right? It's like, oh, I want to get better. Okay, well, what does that mean? Like, how are you going to measure it? So, and I'm not saying that data is the end-all, be-all of evaluating the effectiveness of a goal that you set, but I do think that it is important because then you can actually create a clear action plan. So, I know the stuff in the clouds, but I don't have the stuff like that is in the dirt, like figures for each of those. I will, but I don't have them right now.
Yeah.
But I know that it has helped me delineate them into these, separate buckets because it's easy to list off 25 goals, but delineating them into these 4 buckets that are really the values for me that I have just makes me structure my thinking around that a little bit better.
Well, you have till Friday to provide an answer. Okay.
Or you're fired. Yeah.
Do you have any New Year's Eve plans?
No. My plan is the same as it is every single day that ends in Y. Go to bed approximately 10:30. I'm a creature of habit, rhythm. I really believe in that. So, and then, just get up New Year's Day. I mean, this is not to doo-doo on, the whole, it's a new year, it's a new day, or anything like that.
I feel like I'm in that seat a lot, saying what you're about to say.
But it's like, no, it's Friday,
Yeah.
But Friday is no different to me than Monday or Sunday, or I don't live for any one particular day. I've never gotten on board with that. I don't know, and I know that this sounds so grouchy, but I guess this is the emotionless robot part of me that Manny talks about. I'm just very pragmatic and logical, which can get you in trouble these days. But anyways, don't get me started on that, Mark. But yeah, I mean, I'll go to bed and I'll wake up and I will have my same routine. I'll probably tell a couple people Happy New Year, but I'm gonna be working on New Year's Day, just probably like millions of other people. I don't know. I think a lot of people probably have time off, which is a great thing. But I love what I do, so I'm just gonna continue to do it unless I'm on vacation.
I'm just laughing because the way you're talking and explaining that right now is exactly how I felt last week talking about Christmas traditions. Because I'm the total opposite of you when it comes to New Year's. I'm up till 3 or 4 with my friends. We still they'll all come home from college, or really we're all out of college now, but we'll all hang out together.
Right.
We're all back home. We're all back in our hometown, and we're hanging out and we're acting a fool. Not crazy, but we're getting together, and not in that. You could probably get up. You get a full night of sleep, and I'm still up.
I'm sure.
And so it's just the total opposite. Because last week you were explaining all the Christmas traditions you guys do, and I'm like, we don't do any of that. I was like, I don't do any of that.
Yeah.
So it's just funny.
So it's to each their own. But it's just it's not me.
That's cool, man. And when I say, I want to make it clear because one, I have a persona to maintain. But 2, I don't want anyone to genuinely think. I don't mean act a fool. I don't go crazy. We hang out. All right. I'm not out there making poor decisions. 1 for really just my health because it's not necessary.
Right.
2, I can't anymore.
Yeah.
All right.
Check the Facebook.
Okay.
The Facebook, by the way. They should have kept that. That's so much better.
Yeah. Justin Timberlake was drop the V.
Yeah. Loser.
What was his name?
Sean Parker.
CEO of Napster, right?
Yeah, Napster. That was before you, I bet, wasn't it? Before you, was that before you were born?
I hadn't even heard it. You know what? Maybe I had heard of Napster before the movie, but
Before the movie? You hadn't heard of it before the movie?
I think maybe I had.
Okay.
I mean, it was a music sharing site, right?
Yeah.
It was kind of like MySpace until MySpace came along, or
No,
something.
it was just music sharing. It was any song you wanted, you download it instantly, and it was amazing. Is this a chapter marker? It's talking about Napster?
I know we moved on from when we were talking about games, so I want to get this into the new chapter marker. Yeah.
I have a question for you then.
Oh,
Wait, no, I'm sorry, real quick. Did we have anything else? Were we going to cover anything on yours? Did you?
We just had Marc 2020, Marc 2021. I kind of detailed a little bit of this at the beginning when you asked me about my resolutions, if I put any more thought into it. And I'm somebody that, like you said, I'm somebody that's just like, oh, I want to get better. I actually said that on the show last week. I was like, I'm somebody that, let's just get better. I don't know how to measure it.
Better every day.
Yeah,
what does that even mean?
Yeah, so
Sorry if that's your thing. I'm not doo-dooing on that either. Maybe I am, but I'm not intentionally.
If that is your thing, maybe you should tell Josh you're interested in setting a goal setting session. Because if your goal is to get better, it's time to figure out how to measure that. And so we can do that little goal setting seminar. But that's probably something I could get better at, because for me it takes those questions, like when we had the Two Brain Summit.
Yeah.
And it takes being asked those questions for me to be like, oh, here's what I really want. Because as you and I have talked before, I get pretty content with the way things are.
Yeah.
And not that that's a bad thing, but change is necessary for growth in any aspect of life.
Write that down,
right,
folks.
there we go. And so, actually, I could make this Marc's 2021. And so that change is necessary for growth, and so I think just being asked those questions, because honestly, I don't think about 2021. You know, just the way you are. Okay, it's a new day. It's not like it's just another year. But I mean, there's so much that can get done in a year, so maybe it'd be beneficial for me to, what do I want to accomplish by January 1, 2022? In terms of 2020, again, I just feel like I'm so black and white and boring, because it's not like I self-reflect a lot, and I think about maybe the way I act or the things I say to people, but in terms of like events, like the whole like quarantine thing, again, it wasn't like even the COVID going on. The COVID should adopt from the Facebook.
From the Facebook and the COVID.
But even the COVID going on, and like, I'm not downplaying how serious it is, but to me, it's like, okay, this is just what we're dealing with in life.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't like, I don't even want to say like, oh, 2020 was such a crappy year. Like, it had a year that had events that happened that went more negatively, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, I try not to let it impact me as much as I would think, but then again, it is still stress that you're taking on when you are having a change like a quarantine, or you're not going to CFG every day for 8 straight weeks. You know? So that's my long tangent of saying I self-reflect a lot in terms of personally. In terms of events, not so much. And I think I need to plan a little bit better for the next year in terms to get better, so I can get better every year.
Better every day.
Yeah, so that's kind of it. But I know you wanted to move on after I discussed that. So what did you have in mind?
Yeah, so this is a question. Let's just say that I'm a listener. My question is the Facebook still working?
I hope so. I don't know. Let's check.
I know we checked it a minute ago, but okay, cool. So my question is: we have been doing a good bit of interval type workouts in the gym. And I'll just use yesterday as a example. It was every 5 minutes for 4 rounds. We ran, we did some sit-ups, and then we did 1 back squat. And my question to you is, what are you finding, noticing, learning as a coach? Like, how has that been of value to you?
So, I'm not ignoring you. I'm pulling up our text thread.
Marc is scrolling on his phone. Look at this. The youth today. Just scrolling on his phone.
So, we were talking about this pretty in depth through text yesterday because it's
I
kind
don't
of
remember that, but okay, I'm glad you do.
or was it? Oh, it was Monday, so that's probably why you don't remember yesterday. So it was Monday.
That's forever ago.
Yeah, the days blend together. But yeah, so we're doing a lot of interval type work to where you're not moving for the entire 20 minutes. You're moving for maybe, anywhere from 50 to 70% of that 20 minutes in something like yesterday's. So you're looking at somewhere from 2.5 to 3.5 minutes of work, followed by 1.5 to 2.5 minutes of rest. So you're spending a large portion of the workout resting. And it's like, I'm not resting, I'm not getting any work done, how is this making me any better? And so we've been doing it a lot lately, kind of like, it's been creeping into the workouts here and there. We've been doing a lot more of it. Just wait till next week.
Right.
Yeah, you guys are going to like what we have planned. But it got me thinking, as head coach, as the programmer, what, like you just said, what am I noticing? And so we were texting yesterday, and I was telling you about my times, and then we were going back and forth. And we wear the Whoop, and we have the opportunity to look at our heart rate after the fact and kind of analyze, where things went well or where things went wrong. And so I said to you, I'm just going to read it because I don't want to butcher it.
Yes.
I said, I think heart rate psychologically plays such a huge role in someone's perceived exertion or how hard they're working or the value out of their session. Because I generally took Monday's workout, I was saying this on Monday because I took Monday's workout, although it wasn't an interval workout, I made it one. And I said, mine got to the usual high today, my heart rate got to the usual max while trying to complete it as more sustainable interval work.
Mm-hmm. What was Monday's again? Remind me?
It was 4 rounds of 20 air squats, 10 deadlifts, 20 air squats, 5 power cleans, but I did box jumps.
Yes.
And so, actually, my max was reached in the warm-up lap, so that's funny enough.
Wow.
But what I'm basically saying is, heart rate, I feel, and what I'm noticing, people equate the calories they've burned or their max heart rate in a workout to how well they did that day or how good their session was. Whether they got a good workout. And I got a blog post coming about this. I just got to find the right language. And I don't think that could be further from the truth. Because if we have a total weightlifting day, your heart rate's probably not going to get above like 130. And for most of us that are training consistently, that's not very high. I mean, you could have a conversation at 130.
Yeah.
And so maybe you come in and you have an all weightlifting day where we're doing a lot of squats and then we do some accessory work and maybe we finish with some midline work or some recovery.
Right.
And you're like, man, that's a really good workout. And you look on the Whoop, which has a strain score, or you look at your max heart rate for the day and you're like, man, it was only 130. Man, my strain was only 4 for that workout. That wasn't a really good workout. So your perception is totally flipped. Because, and I think that's the double-edged sword of having so much information at our fingertips. But what I'm noticing is, and I'm asking for feedback from people with the Whoop, myself, you, Edgardo, that we're still reaching our usual max heart rate, performing this steady state, like aerobic interval work, instead of beating our bodies into the ground with a 5 to 7 minute AMRAP.
Right. Because
we're at the point, I feel, where we're taking that max heart rate or high heart rate, we're equating it to, let's see what I said. I said, strain or high heart rate equals I worked hard equals me do good. Right? And so we think, okay, we have to do this really intense work because I know I'm going to be laying on the ground afterwards. I'm going to feel worked. I might move like crap, but dadgummit, if I get to a heart rate of 180, then I did an awesome job today.
Yes.
When it can be achieved, and we're seeing it be achieved with slower, more quality movement completed over a long duration.
Yeah.
I just went on a huge soapbox, and I know that was a little scattered. I promise my blog post is going to have a little bit more of a flow to it, but what are your thoughts on all that?
So the piece that I have found really valuable is, one of the if you turn around and show the back of your shirt, it says you coach, and then underneath it says patient, curious, and consistent. So one of the things that I've noticed a lot from people either in class or people that text me or email me privately, or even interact in some of the groups, is the curiosity quotient has gone up tremendously. And I've always, as a coach, found that to be a very good thing. Now, there are plenty of coaches out there who don't want their people asking the why because they think that they're questioning like their competency or something like that. And I've never thought that, because if you don't know this about me yet, I just have an affinity for teaching and educating people, and I just love to talk about it and show people, help them make connections. So when I see people's curiosity go up when we do things like yesterday or the day before, but in particular it resonated with me yesterday. Normally what we'll see when class is kind of like, all right guys, that's it, we're kind of done for the instructional part of class, you're free to go. There are handfuls of people who are just like, all right, see you guys, and they leave. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, because I know we've got life, we've got places to be, but what I have noticed is that sometimes the people that traditionally might leave, I'm sure that number one, they probably have more time right now, but they're not just like sticking around to stick around, they're sticking around to listen to us. Like yesterday we were talking about the intervals and the value of negative splitting in things and why that's a good thing, and there's a lot more investigation into how could I have done this better, how could I have approached this more differently. And to me, curiosity, where that the piece on the back of your shirt stemmed from, was an earlier podcast when I think it was Stephanie had asked a question about, what do you think that it takes for somebody to be successful in achieving their goals? Yeah. And so to kind of bring this all full circle is like, I think curiosity is a really, really big thing, because what that is you recognizing that you don't have all the answers, that you're still like on this journey and searching. And I think that that's a really, really positive thing. So that's been my biggest noticing or learning piece is, people are showing curiosity, which means they're interested and they want to know, like, okay, how do I progress from this, and what can we do differently, and how could we make this a different workout or test it another way. And because I know what's coming in terms of like how we're going to progress people and individualize things more and more and more as time goes on, that's really exciting to me, because it's one thing for the deep belief that I have of like, no, we're doing right by people. It's another thing when they reinforce it through their curiosity.
Yeah. Or even just their general feedback. So even after the 5:30 class yesterday, Edgardo, one of the people that I asked for the heart rate data because I want to know is, we do this interval workout and you think, okay, I'm going to rest, my heart rate's going to come down, I'm not going to be working the whole 20 minutes, it's not going to be as hard as a 20-minute workout. He's still gotten like the 180s. Mm-hmm. And after the workout, he's saying, man, that was a good workout. And when I hear that, and I see that yesterday's workout is very similar to, as you just said, what's coming down the pipeline, I'm like, oh, you're going to love then what we have coming up there. Right. And because, one, it's the stuff that works. Yeah. Right? Nobody really ran like garbage yesterday. Everybody put efforts into their movement quality because they knew they'd have to run faster and get faster every round. And if we can complete that across a whole week instead of just a day or a month or a year, I'm not saying we're only doing interval workouts, guys. Chill out. Right. But if we can, imagine what we could do our fitness if we're taking what we know is best for it and doing it all the time. Right. Instead of what we've been told and what we've been subscribed to for so long is the best, and now we're seeing that might not be the case.
Yeah, it's definitely a mindset shift, and I'm not saying that it's easy, but that's a big part of it.
Yeah, And it's not like we've known this and have just been like, well, let's just keep doing it this way because, like, you can still do these things and get fit. But as I've said on the show or a couple of weeks ago, like, we think we have a better way.
We know we do.
Right.
We know we do.
We know we have a better way to get this done. And so it excites me, like, talking about it.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, if people are, like, paying close enough attention, is when we say, like, oh, we're going to be doing this, new thing or these changes, like, we've actually already been doing them. And so, like, all the stuff that we are, using or doing or changing, it's not like we close up shop on a Friday and we open on Monday and everything's completely different. It's like, no, that's actually not how progress happens.
Right.
Like a goal, like we set a goal of, like, we want to be able to do X, and so we work backwards from it. It's like, okay, well, what do we need to have been doing for the last 3, 4, 5 months so that it is just one continual smooth transition and not like one door closes, another one opens.
Right.
That's not the case.
Yeah.
So, if people have paid attention or if they've been asking questions, yeah, I mean, they could probably sit back and go, oh yeah, that makes sense. We've been doing this and we've been doing that, and of course.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because in some of my self-reflection, I think about the work we've been doing a lot. And I think, we keep saying it's markedly different, and everyone's like, "Whoa, what's coming in the new year?" And we're like hyping it up, almost like a movie.
They're gonna be like, "Meh."
Yeah, they're gonna be like, "This isn't any different from what we've been doing," and it's like, "Yeah, exactly."
Right.
But it's better, and they're like, "How?" And we're like, "Well, we just know."
Right. Yeah, you'll be more shocked by the changes that we're gonna make, like physically at the gym, like reorganizing some equipment or something like that. You know what I mean? Like versus what the programming is. So
people are so intrigued with that program and stuff. It's intriguing. It's fun. Why do you think that is? Where does that huge interest and intrigue come from?
Well, I think that, because for us in the fitness landscape, in our language, the program is the plan that somebody is following to get to their goal.
Ooh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's really what a program is for. That is like, that's your blueprint for how you're going to build the house. Like, the house is the goal. Okay, so what do I actually need? Well, I need to pour a foundation. I need to put up the studs. I need to do the walls. I need to do the wiring, the plumbing, the electrical, and all this stuff. Like that, for us, the program design is somebody's individual plan to get them to their goal. And that the language that I use right there is very, very deliberate because I mentioned earlier that we are individualizing things more and more and more, and we will be as time goes on, because even if you and I think about this, if we have the exact same goal, fundamentally we've done all the self-reflection, and we both said that, I want to snatch 225. The starting point of each of us is markedly different. Our training ages are markedly different. Our lifestyles are markedly different. Yeah. Everything about us is different, with the exception of the goal. So why would you follow the same plan from a program design, a lifestyle design, behaviors, nutrition, like all of that?
Yeah.
Why would that be the same?
But Josh, I want to work out with you. I want to do the same thing as you. I want to do the same
That's
thing.
fine. I'll be here at 9 a.m. and we can work out.
You and me, we'll meet up?
We'll meet up. I'm gonna do my thing. You do your thing. We'll chit chat. We'll build relationship. We'll have fun, fellowship, all those things, and we're both looking at the same goal.
Yeah.
It might take you, 6 months. It might take me 6 years, or it might take me 6 months, and it might take you 6 years. But those are some of the things that I've spent just so much time, of course, in my career, but really I've had so much time to think about those things over the last 6 to 8 months, with everything that the goal. Not to say that the goal doesn't matter. The goal definitely matters because you need a beacon to work towards, or whatever you want to call it. But the goal only matters for one day when you set it.
Yeah.
Then it's okay. Like, look, that's there. We agree that that's the goal. Okay, cool. Now let's get down to business and put in the work.
Right.
And if it's okay, we start to have these conversations. It's oh well. I'm married. I've got 2 kids. I own and operate 2 businesses. The sleep schedule, the stress, the nourishment, everything is different versus you're young, you have a girlfriend, you don't have any kids, you coach, all this stuff that's a completely different lifestyle.
Yeah.
So our plan needs to be different.
So let's
here's the commonality of everybody's plan. This is where everyone's plan needs to be the exact same. You just need to show up consistently. Just show up and do the work. Whatever the work is, we agree that that's the goal. We built the plan together because it's a collaborative effort between coach and client. And then here's where everybody's needs to be the same.
Right.
It's just be consistent.
So let's blow it up even more. Because you compared to you and I. So take the 2 archetypes, which really archetype isn't even the word. Take the 2 individuals you just named between you and I, because nobody is like me. I'm a beast, right? Nobody is like you, beast mode, right? But you know what I'm trying to say. So take the 2 individuals you just named. Let's add 3 more to the mix, right? We got 50-year-old real estate with 3 kids that are 20 plus, right? Pam, right? You got 60-year-old mortgage guy, Bart. No, I'm just kidding. You got
60-year-old.
50-year-old mortgage broker, 8 kids, lots going on in his personal life as well.
Right.
2 totally. I'm not even getting into nutrition and sleep and stress management.
Right.
I'm not even going to touch it because this is already a crazy example as it is. Let's take another one. 55-year-old, 2 kids in college. Elite athlete, professional athlete, only has an hour and a half to train, just got a new job, crazy new job.
Right.
So, why would any of those people, we've just described how different they are, all come in and do thrusters and pull-ups on the same day. They could do them differently, but why are they all doing it? Especially if only 2 of them care about doing pull-ups.
Right.
Take that, people.
I think that's the lesson is you need to ask those questions. And if the only answer that you have is just because that's what that's what is written, and it exists, so that's what we should do.
You need a new answer.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you need to go back to the drawing board and sit with the question a little bit longer. And I've said this a number of times, and I'm stealing it from another coach, but just because something exists doesn't mean that you have to do it. Yeah.
Wow.
And dude, the first time I heard that, I was like, forget you. I want to do, I love doing this thing. I'm going to continue to do it. Even if it has no bearing on, what my goals are or anything. It's but it's a cool trick. I would love to be able to do it, I want to be able to do this thing when I get into my 50s or 60s or 80s, because it'd be a cool thing. Yeah, but is that really in service of my goal, And let's just say that we walk down this road with somebody and they're hell-bent determined, nope, I'm going to do this thing. As a coach, I need to be comfortable, and this is just a really rudimentary example, I need to be comfortable with having a conversation that, okay, then we need to come to an understanding that in pursuit of this, the likelihood and the risk of you getting injured in this way is incredibly high. If you're not okay with that, then there's one of 2 things to do. Either we need to increase the amount of accessory supportive type stuff, aka what people would probably term as boring, isolation movements, things like that, or you put it aside and don't pursue it.
Or you progress, like you just said, you do these boring things over a long period of time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't mean long as in like, all right, you'll be handstand walking in 6 months.
Right.
I mean like
10 years.
Yeah, right. It's like if your goal is to handstand walk when you're 70, and you're 40 or 50 now, why do you need to handstand walk now?
Right.
That's like saying, man, I would love to be the CEO of a company when I'm 40 or 50 years old.
So great.
It's like, but I'm 23 now.
Yeah.
Why aren't I the CEO tomorrow?
Right.
Or why aren't I, being a better CEO next week than I was this week when I just learned? It's like, it doesn't make any sense.
I don't know if we just shared this quote on our social media, we being the gym, or if I read it somewhere, but it as soon as I woke up, it really sat with me, and I was like, why is this quote so heavy on me? And I think it was because it's important to share like right now. So Bill Gates once said that people underestimate what they can get done in 10 years and overestimate what they can get done in 1 year.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So
underestimate what they can get done in 10 years, overestimate what they can get done in 1 year.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if I want to lose 50 pounds, a year seems like a really long time, right? And like when you're 10, that's 10% of the time you've lived. When you're 40, a year is a very small amount of time relative to how long you've been on the earth.
Yeah.
So if I want to lose 50 pounds and I want to take a decade to do it, that's pretty darn respectable. And not only is it doable, it's sustainable for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I think about time a lot when on Thanksgiving and Christmas, my grandparents have this friend named Glenn. And Glenn's 90 years old. He's sharp as something that's sharp. Sharp as a knife. I mean, he's with it. He watches sports, he reads, he's into politics, he's very aware of what's going on, he exercises. And over the lockdown, he lost 15 pounds by walking. And he's 89, 90 years old. And I'm like, this guy is 90 years old. And like, people are like, oh yeah, my grandma just turned 90, my grandma just turned 100. It's like, do you realize how much time that is? It's like, I've been alive personally for 23 years.
Yeah.
Glenn is four times my age. Like, he's been alive he was 67 years old when I was born. Think about that.
That's wild.
Think about someone being born right now. Like, Edgardo just had a baby, and it's like, man, that baby's young, and like, I'm 23, and you're 36?
36.
Yeah, and so it's like, 67 years old. And so the point of me saying all that and kind of having this existential crisis, I guess, is that like, there is so much time to do this. And I guess the funny point to pull it all together, like the moral of the story is like, you don't have to handstand walk today.
Right.
You don't have to handstand walk tomorrow. If it's something you want to do when you're 70, awesome.
And like that's the beacon, okay, then what's your 70th birthday?
Yeah.
Like, what's the halfway point? What's the halfway point for, like that's,
Yeah, like we'll walk backwards from there.
Yeah.
Or work backwards, not walk. I'm like getting worked up.
Adam and I were having this conversation at the gym yesterday. We were talking about, one of the things that we value more than anything in the world is our time. And we were talking about, they're going on a ski trip here soon, and they're debating, him and Melissa are, they were debating on where to go to and, how to make the best use of their time and flights and traveling to the resorts and the mountains and all that. And, if you go to Colorado, say, like that's the only place our family's ever gone skiing, you get there and it's like at least 2.5 maybe hours to the resort. So when you go to ski in Colorado, let's just say you go for 5 days, well 2 of those days are actually travel days. So you're actually only able to get in 3 good days of skiing. And this is just kind of very general. But where they're going out in Park City, it's like you fly in and you're there in like 20, 30 minutes.
Wow.
And it's like, okay, I can actually get there and get on the slopes that day. That's huge, Now, is it more expensive to fly further and go there? Absolutely. But time, and this is the same like battle that that Mandy and I have, or that I have with other people, and they're like, well, I'm gonna go across town and save $20, or I'm gonna go, save 25 or 30 or 40 or $50, and drive 30 minutes across town, 30 minutes back, and I'm gonna do that every day because I'm saving, 20 or 40 or $50 a month.
Right.
To each their own, but like, I don't know about you, my time is worth way more than that. I would pay $100 more to not drive across town.
Yeah.
Because time is the only thing that you cannot get more of. That is it. Money, I can go make more money. I'm not worried about that. Like, I can go and make more. Time, you're never going to get that back. And so, I think about that in the context of, aging and what I want to be able to do when I'm Glenn's age. And consider this. Most people, when they usually the conversation starts in the mid-30s, oh, wait till you get to your 40, or wait till you hit, you've probably heard, wait till you hit 30, oh, things are going to go downhill. I'm like, no, wait till you hit 40, no. Do you think Glenn at 67, the year you were born, thought like, man, life is just going downhill? The dude's 90 years old now, living his best life.
Yeah.
Do you think that he's like, oh, I'm 90 now, things are going to start going downhill? He's probably like, I'm freaking 90. That's awesome, and I've had a great life, and I'm still living it.
Yeah. And like, to me, it says a lot, especially in these times, in the year 2020, that, like, Glenn is going to our house. Because, like, he's friends with my grandparents, and so we kind of see him just on holidays, so he's become part of the family, and we love having him around, and so it's cool to see that, like, I know people who didn't see their grandparents on Christmas because they're afraid of, the fact that he can put himself in a healthy position to where if he is compromised, he has a better shot. Yeah. But also, he's healthy enough to where he isn't worried about being compromised. Yeah. And again, I'm tiptoeing because
I know. We're not trying to say that it's not serious at all.
But it's just like, why would I dread the year of turning 30 or the year of turning 40 or 50 or 60 when I can look at someone like him who's totally with it, and he's doing awesome at 90.
Yeah.
It's like, I have that much to look forward to. I have another 67 years till I'm that age.
Yeah.
I plan on being 103.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like when, we're probably way past rabbit holes by now. Like my dad and I had this conversation. So every year, the company that he works for, that I used to work for, they give him a option to take retirement, like to pay him to retire, basically. And I remember, I never knew this was happening until last year. He and I were talking, and he told me that, every year for like the last however many years, they've been offering me, X amount of dollars and this and that to take early retirement. And I was like, well, what do you think? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, I like what I do. And I was like, what would you do if you retired? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I'd probably go find something else to do. And I was like, so then why retire? You love what you're doing? He's like, exactly. And so like every year, like last year he turned it down, this year he turned it down. But we do have these conversations. But the point of it is like, and I know that people are like, oh, well, you're only 36. And, but my dad's 65, right? And so he's thinking about, these things. So it's not just my perspective that I'm coming from. It's also my dad's, and it's also, a lot of other people that I talk to about this idea, but it's like, I'm not looking to hang it up in my 50s or 60s or 70s. For what? Like, I love contributing positively to the world, so I might as well just keep doing that.
Fill a purpose.
Yeah. I don't know where all that was going, but
that stemmed from, where does the interest for programming come from?
That was a continuation of that.
And so I kind of put a slash, so this like quick little 18 minute segment will be about that.
I know that I had a good gist of it, but what it was like the program is, people see it as the plan to get them to their goal.
Yeah.
So that could have been just a quick 30-second answer. Done. Next question. Do you have any other questions?
No, I know you kind of said you wanted to detail that a little bit, but I think we did.
I
said enough.
Yeah, I think that what people can look forward to is more intelligent design. What did I say? More intelligent design with their goals in mind? Was that?
Yeah, I think that's what you said.
Yeah. No, but it's going to be about individual priorities, and what I mean by that is like your priorities that you have for you based upon your goals and your starting point and all these things, training age, are going to be different than mine, even if the goal is the same. So like priorities for each person are going to be individualized. There is going to be a plan. There is going to be progression. Because ultimately that is how people are going to continue making positive, even if it's small, but positive steps long term towards whatever goal that they have.
And I'll just put this out there, that if you guys are interested in being a part of this, a little bit more in depth.
Oh yeah,
than just being in the group class. And I say just being in the group class, like you're gonna get
you're
definitely enough.
Yeah.
Like you're getting it. But if you want to be involved a little bit more in depth, like Josh said, be a guinea pig, reach out to us and we will get you rolling right away. We like to say it won't cost you anything extra, but a little bit of your time. And like we said, we know you can't get that back, but at most, 1 to 2 hours of your time will set you up, and I think you're going to absolutely love what we have going on.
Yeah, open invitation. That's cool. Awesome. All right, man. Well, it's been a good year.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing what the new year has to hold. So Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year to everybody. Be safe. I think most of our listeners will be asleep by like 6:30 anyway, because you guys are all old. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, have a Happy New Year. Hopefully we'll see you here on Saturday. If not, we will see you here on Monday for the start of a new mesocycle in the program.
Adios.
Bye-bye. Oh, 5-star review. Written 5-star review, please.